Mr. Speaker. I rise today to ask my colleagues to support House Bill 218, which is a responsible and sustainable budget for fiscal year 2017-18. The total spend number in this budget is $31.52 billion. This budget is a departure from past years and is a good first step in the direction of reinventing government. The citizens of Pennsylvania are tired of the status quo and are looking to Harrisburg to be innovative and responsible with their tax dollars. House Bill 218 answers that call by getting government back to its core functions and does not rely on any tax increases, nor any borrowing. These are the issues that are important to the folks that we represent back home. The budget that we will be voting on today represents a new kind of thinking here in Harrisburg. We cannot continue to expect to continue borrowing and raising taxes to fund more state program and spendings. That's why this budget actually spends less than the 2016-17 budget, while still making key investments in areas such as education. The governor has even said he's encouraged by this budget plan that embraces two of his shared priorities. One, decreasing the size of government through cutting and savings through those processing, and protecting public education by increasing funding. Everyone here realizes that the challenge that this budget faces, in order to close the deficit, hard choices had to be made. I believe that this budget can and should receive bipartisan support. We need to come together and be responsive to our constituents. House Bill 218 accomplishes that. Education is a priority in this budget. The key investments in education, with $100 million more for basic education, $25 million more for special education, $20 million more for pre-K counts, $5 million more for Head Start, and a $220 million increase for our classroom teachers' pension system. Since the governor introduced his budget proposal in early February, we've been able to use some of his data to recalculate our PSER contribution, and that's where the $220 million come from. With passage of this budget, we've invested more than $1 billion in pre-K to 12 education over the last 2 years. Additionally, this budget assumes a $75 million increase in our educational improvement tax credit that has previously been approved by this House in House Bill 250, which passed this House with bipartisan support. House Bill 218 will provide an increase of $8.84 million for our state-owned universities and level funding for Penn State, Pitt, Temple, and Lincoln, and our community colleges. Realizing the need for more resources here to combat opioid addiction, this budget creates a new line item of $5 million for treatment of this deadly disease. There is also $1 million added to provide Narcan to our emergency local providers. We've added a $3 million line item as well to our system to provide drug courts in each of our counties. Many members on both sides of this aisle have advocated for doing more to help those with intellectual disabilities and physical disabilities. House Bill 218 will provide those additional services to 3,910 individuals with autism and intellectual disabilities, and 4,428 people more with physical disabilities will receive services. It's important to note that Pennsylvanians' advocacy and resources for autism and intellectual disabilities have come out and endorsed this bill, House Bill 218, because of the investment it makes in those services. In an effort to reinvent government, we're moving the administration of our child care programs back to the counties, the county assistance offices, to save taxpayers money, while still providing, and I repeat, while still providing the same level of child care services. The budget before us allows us to train 3 new classes of state troopers to ensure that our local communities are protected. To pay for this budget, House Bill 218 accepts many of the proposals that Governor Wolf's February budget had. Roughly 60% of the cuts in this budget came from the governor's proposal. The budget reflects mergers of the Department of Health and Human Services, Health, Aging, and Drug and Alcohol. House Bill 218 also reflects the merger of the Department of Corrections and the Board of Probation and Parole. The budget also makes cuts which allow for a total spend of $31.52 billion, which is below our current budget. In this budget, we've eliminated many grant line items and reduced many administrative line items. We believe in leading the way here in the House of Representatives and in the General Assembly by reducing our own line items by 6.5%. This budget begins the process of stopping corporate welfare by reducing the tax credits that we issue here in Pennsylvania. This budget will also rely on revenue from expanding gaming and liquor reforms, which the House has passed numerous times, and believe that they are strong alternatives to raising taxes and borrowing more money. I'm asking all members for their support on House Bill 218, a budget that doesn't raise taxes, a budget that makes key investments in education, and is something that the people of Pennsylvania are looking for. This budget before us is balanced, and it's a sensible budget that takes into account the issues that as Republicans and Democrat members have advocated for, and includes many of the governor's budget proposals. We need to come together and vote for this budget, which is in the best interest of all Pennsylvanians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.